So, sir, looks like that the smile is simply skimming, smiling. Swimming on a face. It is such a pleasant personality, and the people who are listening to us from all part of the world, from US, from Middle East, from India, Europe, Southeast Asia, and all. Right. It's a big and wonderful opportunity just to host you. It is none other than Professor B.N. Suresh, right? And let me tell you very, thank you, sir. Welcome to you. Very good afternoon to you. It's a fine, pleasant afternoon over here in Delhi. And you are in which place sitting right now?
I'm in Bangalore. I'm sitting in Bangalore.
Right. Now, let me tell you that I have to count your laurels because before speaking with you, I had to do some good, Googling. And I was at my Sunday afternoon. And truly speaking, I didn't think that I had to devote this much of time in order to compile your bio.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So definitely for those who are hearing Professor B.N. Suresh, I know that I did not give any sort of introduction, but I have to do this. Let me tell you that Professor Suresh, he is an Indian aerospace scientist. Currently, he is serving the Chancellor to IIST Institute of Space Science and Technology, which is in Tirunelveli. He is a professor at ISRO headquarters. He got a bachelor degree in science and then also a degree of science from University of Mysore. Then kindly correct me, sir. I may be wrong. So please feel free just to correct me. And then he did a master's degree in mechanical engineering from IIT Madras. He was also the president of International Academy Engineering, INAE. Then he was the founder director of Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre.
Not founding director. Founding director of IIST. Founding director of VSSC was.
I'm confused, having counter laurels. That's why, sir, I took this privilege just to tell you that correct me if I'm wrong at some place.
Founding director was none other than Vikram Sarabhai. So that's why I had to correct it.
Right. And then Professor B.N. Suresh, he has contributed a lot to development of Indian launch vehicle and the space capsule recovery experiments. It would be very interesting to you just to know about the space capsule that delocks and returns from space to the Earth. And then he also served as a distinguished professor at ISRO. And he was also professor at IIT Mumbai and MIT Manipal. He is the member of the board of governors at IIT Madras, Padma Bhushan 2013, Padma Shri 2002, and he also received Aryabhatta Award from Astronautical Society of India in 2008. So I know that the list, I cannot put everything on this list, but of course, I have just picked the main ingredients of your achievement and allurance, and we just try to create, an archive. Hope I have been successful in doing so. That's it. So in a very, the thing is that recently, I think in some time before you shared your vision for 2030, you were with the Prime Minister of India and all, right, sir? What was that vision of 2030? What was that, sir?
I had 3 different occasions where I had to interact with Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi. One was soon after he took over as the Honorable Prime Minister of the country. We requested him to come and witness one of our PSLV launches at Sriharikota. And when he came along with Venkaiah Naidu, one of his ministers, I was given an opportunity to sit next to him and explain all operations before the launch. As well, he wanted to go and see from outside how the vehicle takes off. I was with him. Then we came back and he was there till the launch vehicle put the satellite into orbit. It was an excellent experience. And during about an hour with him, I got an opportunity to explain to him what are the various stages, how it works, how it really takes the vehicle, the spacecraft, and puts into the orbit. There were a number of interactions and questions, and each one of them I spent with him. Then next was Chandrayaan 2. That of course it was not successful, whereas we succeeded in Chandrayaan 3. That was at Bangalore in our ISRO telemetry and tracking station where we have the control center, and it was somewhere around early morning, and everything was going very smooth, and I was explaining sitting next to him what are the
Right.
various operations. But just short a few seconds landing, the
Yes.
system got into a problem, and immediately the center became very silent. He understood. Then of course chairman came and explained what was the problem. He explained. Then of course he left and came back and addressed very nicely.
Yes, we all saw that.
The third occasion was Dr. Kasturiarangan, you may know, who was the member Rajya Sabha, was the earlier chairman ISRO, as well he was the chairman for the national education policy at national level, and he requested me to help to edit his book, which I did, and he wanted to hand over a copy of that to Honorable Prime Minister. Both of us went to his residence, and it was only 5 to 10 minutes spot given to us, but then he spent almost 1 hour discussing various issues related to science and technology. So these are the three important experiences I can share with our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
So basically, I'm focusing my conversation with you, especially on 2 points. First is IIST, because there are a lot of young minds, young brains who want to hear from you about this IIST, the mode of entry and all. That's the thing. And second part would be focusing upon the ISRO and all your experience with all this. That's it. So when we are talking about, the IIST and all, this is one of the premium institutions over here in India. Not in the India, but it is recognized all over the world. That's it. So I had a chance just to see NASA from far when I was there in California. Right. So the thing is that we have got IITs, we have got NITs, right? These are the two institutions which are in BTech, B and all. So when we compare IIST to these IITs, NITs and all, what makes IIST so unique?
Basically, as the name suggests, it is an Indian Institute of Space, Science and Technology, and the focus is more towards the science and technologies related to space. I think you would have heard the common usage of rocket science. People say that if something is very difficult, it is rocket science. So it becomes important for us to really train our youngsters so that they can focus more towards how to develop the science and technologies which are related to space. The main difference here is we cannot afford to make any mistake of any kind. Even 0.001% error can lead to the entire mission failure in terms of launch vehicle, in terms of spacecraft, costing few hundreds of crores. That's why it becomes important really for our youngsters to bring focus how to achieve success in space, science and technology. And that was the reason with which we started Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology. And you may see all over the globe, this is the only institute in the globe which is truly dedicated in training our youngsters who can come and work in the space related science and technology, in other words, cutting edge technologies. And I'm very
happy.
I'm very happy.
Students are simply crazy about this IIST and all.
Yeah.
You have heard. That's it. So now coming into the curriculum, I mean, does it integrate the space technology and all, and the much buzzword which is AI right since the first semester of the first year into IIST curriculum?
See, what we have done is we started with three main streams. One is aerospace engineering, second is electronics and communication, Those days we called it avionics. And third is space sciences. While formulating the curriculum, we were very careful not to digress too much from the kind of curriculum that is available in IITs or NITs, because they are the basic curriculum on which our own students have excelled, not only in India, but all over the globe. Having said that, we more or less retain the same curriculum without changing too much. But only difference we brought is when it came to the practical experiences, we brought all practical experience related to our own launch vehicles, rockets, spacecraft, applications, so that students, while they learn the basics of science and technology, the examples that they follow, they are more related to the space science and technology. And while doing so, we also brought the importance of maintaining the quality and zero defect and achieving maximum reliability so that we succeed in the very first attempt.
So space industry is evolving like, anything. We heard a lot from the SpaceX of Elon Musk, and I must have heard recently about this, the only women crew they are going for the space travel. Kate Perry, the famous singer from US, that she has released a video where she's showing that this is seat number 2 is my seat. Altogether, 6 female crew, they are going to the space. Right. So this tells the story about the growing, evolving space industry in itself, right? So the thing is that how is IIST, is just trying to maintain a balance? How is it bringing along these innovations so that it could be in synchronization with the developing space industry? Any idea about that, sir?
Yeah, the one big advantage we have at Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology is they are very closely knitted with the activities that are going on in Indian Space Research Organization. We have huge centers like Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre, URAO Satellite Center, Space Application Center, Remote Sensing. They are all day in, day out involved in developing their various technology, including what you mentioned, the human space mission. We are embarking on that project. We got the approval and the work is going on very smoothly all across the various centers. But then IIST students and faculty, they have the advantage of directly interacting with the people who are developing. You may be aware that in US, the California Institute of Technology, Caltech it's called, they have a very close link with Jet Propulsion Laboratory, who are interested in the interplanetary missions, and there is a very good synergy between these two great organizations. In fact, we are trying to model our own development and the research activities at IIST almost in line with what Caltech and JPL does, so that we interact with ISRO, and through ISRO, many other organizations all over the globe.
So, sir, I just wanted to know that the fresh IIST graduates, what type of role or profile they get at ISRO or other space agency or even private space agencies? What type of profile they are supposed to get or they get?
By and large, the students who come out of IIST, they prefer to join ISRO for the simple reason they are fully aware that ISRO is working on the cutting edge technology and very, very thrilling missions like Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan, Gaganyaan. Today, all youngsters, they're enthused and they get an opportunity to become astronauts, just like what SunitaWilliams came back recently, so that they all get this kind of opportunity. So they long to join ISRO. That's number one. Number two is we also have liberalized and allowed them to go elsewhere, and they go and join the higher studies somewhere for their post graduation, the management courses. Also, they go and join many other institutions across the world. In fact, when I went to Jet Propulsion Laboratory about 4 or 5 years back, I
Yeah,
was
first in California.
extremely happy to see a couple of our own students working in cutting edge technology in this institution. So today, I think it has made a name all across the globe, and the very fact they hear they are from IIST, I think they certainly will get an opportunity to work in different areas, different fields, different countries.
Am I right in saying so that is it guaranteed that if one has got from IIST the degree, would it be absorbed in ISRO? Is it guaranteed?
At one time, yes, it was. Initially, we had that opportunity, but then over a period, the competition became very stiff. Then now we have brought some kind of condition. They have to get 75% in their academics. If they don't achieve that 75%, then they don't become eligible to join ISRO. Once they get 75%, then they become eligible. And again, we remove the earlier condition of compulsory. So it is up to them. But as I said earlier, they are all very enthused to come and join. In fact, only we have to control the admission depending on the vacancies available. Otherwise, by and large, they join different institutions. And I want to add here that all of them, more than 1,200, our young engineers graduated from IST have joined ISRO. They are doing extremely very good job, and all of them contributed in this Chandrayaan 2, Mangalyaan, Gaganyaan, the advanced programs which are all going on. Everywhere you see youngsters contributing very significantly.
So the thing is that if say one is from IIST, can he also do internship at ISRO or NASA, etc.?
Yeah, he has every opportunity to join ISRO, or if he's willing, he can also go and join NASA, subject to various terms and conditions that he satisfies. I think there are some our students who have already joined. I don't have the numbers with me, but then I think they are everywhere. Whenever I go to any other place where space activity is being done, at least you will see one or the other ISTN contributing significantly to that program.
Asking a question which is little tricky in this era of liberalization, especially in terms of sharing the knowledge and all over the world, right? Because it doesn't have any boundary. Yet, protectionism, which is going on in US, is there any receptivity for, IST guys just to work out of India, say NASA, or in Europe, other prestigious space institutions? What do you think, sir?
Now it's a free world, and also there is some kind of reforms which have been brought in ISRO as well as which applies to IST too. So I'm sure that whomsoever is interested in contributing any of the activities that they are willing to do, they have an opportunities and opening, and they have been doing well in many of the places as I already mentioned.
At UC Berkeley, where I was along with my team, I could find one or two, students or the employees of ISRO who were even there. Like, though, it was a very busy schedule, I couldn't ask. But of course, if they are from ISRO IIST, there must be something into the space technology and all. So that's it. Now, another thing is that, say, for example, there is an undergrad student from IIST. Okay. Is he allowed to work in the research project or in ongoing, the satellite project or the high tech projects? Is he allowed to work there as an intern? The IIST graduate itself.
Yes, certainly. That is the whole idea of having some kind of cooperation between ISRO and IIST. And most of them we sort of employ in the cutting edge technology areas because they are well trained. We used to have some kind of training program for the graduates who join from other institutions, including IITs. But then today, because of our proximity to ISRO and the interaction with ISRO activities, that component is not required. Straight away, we put them on the hot seat and on the job, and they sort of swim like a fish in the water. So that way, that is the biggest advantage we have having ISTNs in many programs. When Chandrayaan 3, we really created the global history by going on the southern portion of the moon for the first time amongst various countries. I think many of our ISTNs who all joined maybe about 8 or 10 years back have made very significant contributions.
I would believe even we don't belong to IIST or ISRO in any way, but our whole office, we are quite excited to have, just to have heard that, okay, it's going to land after some time, sometime. So we had got a big project in our office, and we were ready to clap, and as and when it landed on the surface of the moon, okay, we all started clapping, and it was really, we just thought it was a big achievement for all of us. It was a sense of, pride for all of us. That's it. Now, going back, they mentioned that, okay, there is a liberty of choice among the students of IIST. So, is there any international collaboration of IIST with the international institutions or the global institutions like Harvard, MIT, Caltech, and all these? Is there any exchange program? Is there any collaboration so that, it helps the students of IIST landing over there?
Yeah, from the beginning, when I was the founder director of IIST way back 2007 to 2010, I was there for almost 3.5 years. And in the very beginning, we started establishing cooperation and handshaking with several prominent institutions all across the country, all across the globe. In fact, we have a very good understanding with the Caltech of USA. Similarly, we had a number of such understanding with International Space University as well in many other countries. So, in fact, today they allow our toppers from different branches to come and join 10 months post-graduation program at Caltech JPL. And surprisingly, initially they were very apprehensive that whether our students would do well in the international competition. And that too, a course offered for just 10 months for MTech program, which generally is about 2 years. But year after year, our students have been doing well and they are really becoming number one or number two in these examinations. That way, I think we have proved our mettle and our students are also benefited. And lot of other activities that are going on in terms of small satellites, payloads. There are very many interactions with several organizations all across the globe. And it's on the increasing trend, really.
Now coming, to the a little different aspect of the IIST, say the life at IIST. The people who are not at IIST have heard less about IIST, have not gone towards that direction. They have a notion that the students at IIST, they are very much into the research, very brainy. Of course, they all are brainy, and they are bookworm. They keep on doing research. They study, study, and study. All there are all scientists over there. They never play. Is it something like that, sir? They don't
No,
play football, cricket, hockey, no outdoor games.
they are all students. In fact, we pick them up from entrance examination of IIT only, what is called as the joint entrance examination.
Yeah, JEE,
Then
Joint Entrance
JEE
Examination.
and advanced JEE,
Yes,
they are no different from any other institution. We have excellent extracurricular activities, sports facilities, and they also have gone and won number of such awards at nationally and state-wise also. So there is absolutely no difference as far as the students are concerned. One thing I want to tell you is that they are very good both academically, extracurricular activities, and very many cultural activities also. So I don't find any difference. And their work culture also is almost similar to any other institution. But one advantage I can tell you here is the student faculty ratio is very good here. Whereas it is around 17, 18, even in IITs, we have something like 12 to 13. So the personal attention they get is very good and they can approach the teachers, discuss with them, clarify their doubts. So in the process, they get benefited.
right. So the thing is that, you know, there's no doubt that a student, when he is preparing for the JEE and all, JEE main, JEE advanced, has to be all about physics, chemistry, and mathematics. He has to solve the question, has to undergo the pressure, the stress that these high-stake examinations are coming along. So once he goes through this process, and once he gets into an elite institutions like IIST, so over there he also has to meet the deadlines. He also has to meet the intellectual capacity and all. So how does this factor which is known as stress? I mean, how is it maintained? How is it calmed down?
No, as far as I can see, because I'm also an IIT product. I know how IIT works. Absolutely no difference between students who join IIT, NIT, or IIST. In fact, as I already mentioned, they have the advantage in terms of approaching the teachers. Teachers also, they keep an eye on the students because numbers are not very large at IIST. Unlike IITs and NITs where they are in thousands and many times you know who is who. Whereas here, that kind of personal rapport is maintained and they have been doing pretty well and discipline is well maintained and they excel. Rarely we see anyone getting into stress or getting into some kind of problem. It has rarely happened.
Right. I mean, I was just skimming through the internet and I was knowing that, what type of rank is required in, especially the marks that one requires in order to get into IST. I could find that it is 210 out of 300, in JEE Advanced. That probably is a safe score in order to get into IST. Of course, wheresoever there is creativity, there is no scope of anxiety, and a person who is knowing about this infinite world, there is no question of this anxiety, stress, any sort of thing. Once he gets into all these, he knows that okay, he has already come across the orbit where there is no place of all such things. So the thing is that what would be your advice for those young brains, the young aspirants who want to get into IIST?
See, the basic drive for any student to get into IST is that they are genuinely interested that they want to come and work in the area of space. Today, what happened over the world, people are enthused to come and work in the advanced technology area of rockets, spacecraft, interplanetary missions, and applying very many innovative ideas. So, essentially, what it means is only those students who are genuinely interested in working in space arena, they come and join IIST. See, for example, in IIT, there are people who would like to join a particular IIT for a specific reason, and they are under terrific stress. Here, as you said rightly, we have the somebody who is joining maybe as low as around 8,000, 9,000 rank, All India rank, but there are also students who join at 150, 160. So that guy can easily join, for example, IIT Bombay, which is well sought after in the present day, but then their interest to come and join space program, contribute towards space activity, I think that attracts. So it's only the attraction toward space and excitements of working in the cutting edge technology and ultimately to achieve what rocket science demands.
So from here, when you have taken us through, a journey which is giving a lot of advice, a lot of information about IST to all these young brains all over this, world. Where do you see IST, down the line, 10 years, over the period of 10 years? I mean, what is the future of India in this journey of space? That's it. That's a very important question because that's also the criteria of development, right?
Agreed, agreed. I know the fortunately, if we really look at the growth of space program in the country, it's almost, I would say, exponential. We were all working on building the satellites, building the rockets, then increasing its payload capability from 40 kg of SLV to something like equivalent of 10 tons in GSLV Mark III. But further, you can see we also explored on various interplanetary missions. And very recently, just about a year back, Honorable Prime Minister approved very many cutting edge technologies like having our own Bharati Antariksh Station, then having the Venus mission, then Gaganyaan program, which has come in a big way that is quite exciting for all the youngsters around like this, and also next generation launch vehicle where you can take humans up to the moon and bring back. All these programs are on the anvil, and you can see that provides tremendous excitement, opportunities. So that way, I would say that the demand for the space program, space activities, as well as sourcing the students to contribute towards this will remain, in my own opinion, next 15 to 20 years. There won't be any dearth of demand for these activities. But what would happen beyond that, I think one has to wait and then see.
Great, sir. Now shifting our focus of talk to ISRO, right? Let's start. I mean, I read about you that your background was very humble. Your dad was a farmer. Am I right in saying so, sir?
Yes, yes, you are right.
Yes. So, what inspired in your mind just to take this route? It's not so easy, right?
It's an interesting question. Somehow I was very keen in working in the repairing of small items, small gadgets when I was very young, when I was going to the primary school. And as I said rightly, I'm a son of a farmer, born and brought up in a very, very small village, very near to the holy town of Sringeri, you would have heard. It's one of the Shankaracharya's area, and that's where it's only about 20 kilometers from there. And I did all the primary, the secondary education in my own language, that is Kannada. Then, because of my interest in being sort of involved in repair of the various item gadgets, my father thought that I am more inclined towards engineering, and he was very particular to admit me into engineering. And fortunately, I got in one, and that interest continued. But what attracted me to space is just by accident only, because when I completed my post graduation at IIT Madras in mechanical engineering, one fine day we saw an advertisement by Space Science and Technology, which was just established at Thiruvananthapuram by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, and they sort of advertised for an offer for postgraduate engineers. We just went and joined, but that the environment, the kind of opportunities provided there were quite exciting, and then we continue to work in that area.
I mean, people like you who are from a very rich technological background, they live a life, which is very precise, right? The thought process, the way of thinking and all, right? So they definitely come across a lot of challenges. What was the biggest challenge, that you faced during your stint with the ISRO?
Well, I have faced several such very difficult situation. In fact, my son has written a biography on me, onto a rocket ship, and in that I have really given very many such incidents. But now that you have asked a question, I would like to mention we had our SLV3, for which the project director was none other than A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, and I was fortunate enough to work with
You
him.
had the privilege to work with Dr. Kalam as well?
Yeah, I worked almost 16 years, shoulder to shoulder with him, and he was the project director, and I was developing one of the systems with him. And our association continued even after he moved over to DRDO, to Delhi, till the end. We had a very close relationship. To put it frankly, he was very particular to come and visit my village house in Koppa, that is near Sringeri. He came and spent 1.5 hours in our village in 2009. That was the kind of bondship we have. Now, going further, after SLV3, we wanted to learn additional technologies. We called it augmented satellite launch vehicle. Then we thought it's very simple because we succeeded in SLV3, but unfortunately the first mission failed. Of course, these kind of failures are common in launch vehicles. We corrected it, then launched yet another by involving experts from all over India and even abroad, but the second one was failed. That was the greatest problem or challenge I have faced. And that too, the problem happened in the area I was handling in terms of control systems. I was in charge of control system development. It happened in that area. To tell you frankly, we spent 4 long years doing the analysis, experimentation, discussions, debate, both at the national level. Even we brought experts from Russia. And when we launched the third one after 4 years, when it succeeded, I think then we understood what it means for rocket science.
So I'm going to ask you a question that you are the best person to answer. I mean, could you please walk us through a mission of ISRO, right? That it is conceptualized right from idea to launch.
Yeah.
Please, that would be very interesting for all of us to know.
Yeah, that's where I would say that visionaries are visionaries. We were very fortunate and lucky to have Dr. Vikram Sarabhai as the founding father of ISRO. His whole interest was we must utilize the space technology, namely advanced technologies, for the benefit of common man. It should help them. That was the idea with which he started. But then he didn't stop there. In order to implement the applications, you have to build the satellites. In order to build the satellites, you have to have what is called the payloads and instrumentation. You can see that all components have been sort of being developed indigenously in India. He also believed we can't depend on launching on some other country. Many countries, they don't have launch vehicle technology. So that's why way back in 1963 itself, he started the development of launch vehicle activities at Tumba, and that's where I joined. So you can see that his visualization is end-to-end applications which will help the common man, build the satellites where you can implement application, launch it by using our own launch vehicle. That's why today we are able to launch all kinds of missions using our own vehicles. Not only that, we are able to launch satellites to many other countries. I think so far we have launched as many as 432 satellites of different countries. I think somewhere around 40, 42 countries, which includes all advanced countries also in the globe. So that is how we visualize. That's how end-to-end development was taken. And one more I want to add is he believed in the human resources of indigenous human resources. He did not employ anyone who studied abroad or anything. They would have gone and completed their doctorate, but they came back. All from our own Indian institutions, universities, they joined and built the space program.
I'm simply so mesmerized to have heard you. For all these, that's why I'm not asking, interfering unnecessarily. Otherwise, if an eye, all our audience and all, right? That's it. So, is there any upcoming mission of ISRO or the current mission of ISRO about which you are so excited?
Future, I mentioned already. We have very many programs which are all something like a very high-ended technologies. See what you have International Space Station equivalent to that Bharati Antariksh Space Station, and there also you will have the docking requirement. That's why very recently would have heard that we did one docking experiment using PSLV launch vehicle to learn the technology. Similarly, we are extending our exploration in interplanetary missions beyond Moon, Mars, Venus, and maybe many other places. Even what is called in finding out the new elements elsewhere. The work is going on in exoworlds, and also in order to take the humans, you have to have advanced launch vehicles, advanced propulsion, advanced navigation, guidance, and control. There are many such associated advanced technology which are required, which in my opinion is also exciting our youngsters who are joining from different institutions, including IIST.
These days, a lot of people that want to get into the space research and all. Could you please offer any valuable advice to them, for this career?
No, basically, they, in fact, at ISRO website, you go in each of the area, be it mechanical, be it electronics, be it aeronautics, be it computer science, in each one of them, we bring out the kind of research activities we are looking for, where we can shake hands with the academia, with the R&D institution, with industry, all this we bring out. And I think the youngsters who are aspiring to really work in the cutting edge technology and particularly space, I think they should look in that directory. And I'm sure that each one who is interested in their own area, they can sort of point out that particular area and start looking in that direction and take the courses relevant to that in various academic institutions. I'm sure that they can set the pointer depending on his or her interest.
And so, how do you see the role of AI and quantum computing, influencing the future or future missions of ISRO or any other space agency?
I think it has come in a very, very big way today. I think nothing works without involvement of AI and advanced technologies of robotics, data mining, big data. All these things have come in a way. So what is happening in academia also, which I am very familiar after coming out of IIST, I am continuously involved in academic activities. And today, all institutions, academia, the universities, they are more and more involved in bringing the knowledge of AI and this advanced technology. So I think even in school curriculum today, in some places, I find that the AI has figured in. So that being so, that can be used in several ways. But only important thing is, just like any other technology, there are both bad and good sides. I think we must always see that how we can put it for the faster development of the nation rather than put it for some kind of adverse activities. We should not get into that. That's where we need to sort of train our youngsters to utilize it for the benefit of the country.
Right. So, does ISRO have any plan in future for this space tourism in collaboration with the private sector?
Right now, nothing like that is there because we are still working in the area which will help the country, as Sarabhai has given the dictum. Ultimately, it should help the common man. But at the same time, we can't keep aloof because who knows, the space tourism itself will become a very big venture and maybe it will multiply the space
It's
economy.
going to be a lot of private sector. I mean, the Jeff Bezos, only he is, sending the people to a space. There's only women crew, the 6 female who are going to space as a part of the space tourism. So it has already started. It's all about time when it fully flourish, and then there is crowd that you find that just like the airport, you have got a spaceport, and this is it.
Yeah, you're right. As far as the ISRO is concerned, I think there are some youngsters who are really looking at it, collecting the data, putting preliminary work that is required. But then, as a program, nothing has fructified yet. But at the same time, there is a lot of thinking that's going on. It's a very, very difficult and cumbersome area for the simple reason, as I mentioned, reliability is very important. You can't afford to get into problem. The moment you get into problem, there are mishaps happening in any one of the mission. The whole effort put in, you will put the clock back by 10 to 12 years. That's why one has to be very cautious and it should be cost effective. When you offer a person to be taken on tourism to the end of our space and bring back, they have to shell out a lot of money. And of course, there are very many who can do that in India, but on a sustained basis, if you have to do to bring down cost, there are many things involved. In my opinion, it will take a little more time, not immediately it will happen, maybe another 10, 12, 15 years it will happen.
And sir, what was your proudest moment at ISRO?
Can you repeat?
Proudest moment, your proudest moment
Oh,
as at
proudest moment, I think no doubt I can give the reply without blinking an eyelid is when we landed on the southern side of the moon, the whole world witnessed us. Really, literally. I think everywhere they were very, very curious to know how these guys will do it successfully, do it at a very low cost. It's a very, very difficult mission in terms of accomplishing it because everything is automated. There is no manual invention. There is no commanding of any kind. You should visualize every activity. It involves sensors, it involves software, it involves propulsion. many things. All of them have to work hand in hand and ultimately achieve the goal with so much precision. In fact, with that, what happened is the prestige of India has gone several notches above. No doubt about that. I think that is one moment. I'm sure if Sarabhai were to be alive, he would have jumped in his seat several times.
That's great. So now coming, I personally am very inspired by SunnyWilliams. I mean, the first time she was going to the space, I heard after a certain moment that I'm completely in command with the spacecraft. Everything fine. That depicts her confidence. When she stuck into the space, I mean, I cannot express that feeling. She says that, okay, this is the space and I love being here. Okay, I have no issues. And when she returned in a press conference, she said that, I think 2-3 days back, I'm again planning to go to the space after. So all these. So, I mean, what is your message for SunnyWilliams? You're a
No,
person, you're an authority who can make a comment.
No, that requires a tremendous amount of boldness and dedication. I don't think anybody can really go through that kind of hardship and still be so bold. And also, for one who went just for a week, spent almost 10 months, be there and come back, and the kind of problem it has created on the body and recovering, I think hats off to her. And at the same time, I was fortunate enough to spend some time with her in 2007. We
Great.
organized a very big astronautical congress at Hyderabad, and when we did, she came, and I was the organizing secretary, and I took lunch with her, spent almost 2 to 3 hours with her. I think she is really one of the topmost personalities who has the technology, who has the will to do things. It's not just going there only. She has commanded the completely ship there and handled very many difficult situations, found solutions, and still she sort of looks as fresh as she was earlier.
So what is how to motivate yourself? How to get inspired?
I think that requires, this is where our education system, what we have, it's not just science, it's not just technology. I think the humanities have to be very nicely synergized. In other words, how do we make a person strong? How do you make a person to come out of any difficulty without any problem? I think these are the qualities we have to build in youngsters, imbibe in them, and face the situation. Number two is, I think we also have to teach our youngsters how to convert challenges into opportunity. Challenges are bound to be there. When you face challenge, there are only two ways of looking at it. One is run away from this. Second is take by the bull and then try to tame it. So I think people have to be taught to learn the second portion. I think if we do, nobody can stop this country surging forward, leaving behind everyone else.
Thank you, sir. So we are Test Prep Card completely devoted, to spreading education, especially related with the high stake competitive examinations like JEE, NEET, then some American curriculum, SAT, AP, and all, right, all over the world. And we have also been working hard in getting inspired by people like you. That's it, sir. Thank you very much. Here we come to the end, and we are really so thankful to you for giving your valuable time, out of your so busy time, to Test Prep Card. Whatever we spoke is a signature, to the students all over the world, whosoever would be watching this video or currently whosoever are listening to us. That's it, sir. Keep on smiling. It's so present, so pleasant. And thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I too enjoyed the conversation. It was more informal, and that's why I was able to really react and then tell you whatever I felt like.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So
Please
kindly
take best
send
of care.
once it is ready a copy of that. Okay?
Definitely, we will be doing that, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay,
Thank
then.
you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.